We have an emergency version of the Scoop World Order. Nevadabuck demanded that I get on my computer right now. He has some breaking news regarding Justin Fields. We're 1 day out from his second pro day, and Nevada, get right to it.
Yeah, Kirk, I've been kind of curious as to what the 49ers intentions were post pro day 2, as we'll call it, and had gotten a couple of calls from some other teams in the NFC, some people that I'm familiar with that were talking, and then got a confirmation from a pretty prominent guy in the agent community that kind of all said the same thing. And the word that's coming back is that Justin Fields is going to end up as a San Francisco 49er, and that he did enough yesterday that's definitely the way that's leaning now. Obviously a lot can happen between now and the ultimate day on the draft, but I think the 49ers left that Mac Jones pro day a little underwhelmed. I think they wanted to see a little bit more from him physically, and were intrigued by what Justin Fields had to offer. And I think Justin Fields really delivered in a big way yesterday. And I think it turned some people around. And, what was really telling was one of the teams was looking to trade up, and they were looking to trade up. They were talking to the Falcons at 4 and had talked to the people at the 49ers, and the 49ers were like, no, we got our guy. And that was really a really interesting comment, because it never made sense to me that they'd be trading up, trading the 12th and the third round compensatory and then the 2 first rounds to take Mac Jones. That just never made a lot of sense for me. But now with the Justin Fields thing coming into view, I really think Justin Fields is going to be a San Francisco 49er, and I think that's where it's going to end up.
Do you think that this was the plan all along, or did this change dynamically based on Mac Jones's pro day followed by Justin's pro day yesterday?
Well, that's the great question, and to me, Mac Jones to the 49ers never made a lot of sense. It didn't make sense that you trade that kind of draft booty for Mac Jones. But it sure seemed like maybe that's the way that they were going to go. And I think that as we sit right now, I think Justin Fields has definitely turned things around from the 49ers perspective, and whether that was a result of Jones looking poorly or Fields looking outstanding, I definitely think that's where we're sitting right now. And other teams seem to think it's pretty much fait accompli. I think the other teams are pretty much talking like it's going to go Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, and then it's a jump ball for that 4th spot. But that's all changed. Like I said, this is all has changed in the last 24, 48 hours, because I think up until that point, it was a little bit uncertain. But I think now the 49ers really, really like what they see. More importantly, I think they really, really like what they heard from Ryan Day. And Ryan Day has just been a tireless advocate for Justin Fields and for what Justin Fields meant to the Buckeyes team, and what he felt that he could do at the next level. And Ryan has not always been as effusive in his praise of quarterbacks, and I think he's going all in on Justin Fields being a terrific NFL quarterback, and I think the 49ers are listening.
And when you say that, you're obviously relating to Dwayne Haskins. Ryan Day, we know, was not the most over-the-top praise-wise guy towards his former quarterback, and it's been the opposite with Justin Fields. So what kind of weight do you feel Ryan Day's words hold in NFL circles?
Well, I think they from what I've heard, they definitely hold some sway just because he wasn't over the moon about Haskins. And I think that really influenced a lot of people, because, when you say to people, hey, I've got concerns about his maturity, I got concerns about his work ethic, I've got concerns about his mobility, and I'm not quite sure if he's ready to, for prime time as an NFL quarterback. And then the guy flames out, that gains you some credibility. And I think Day is coming from that perspective, where he's not going to just, he's not going to say complimentary things about a kid just because he's a Buckeye. And so I think his word, definitely has some sway, especially in the 49ers organization, where they have a lot of respect for Ryan Day. He's got a history that goes back with them. And I definitely think, that was something that was, I won't say it was determinative in terms of what the 49ers are going to do, but it it certainly assisted them as they were kind of going through this process and trying to decide what to do with that really important third pick.
So this is your call. Justin Fields, number 3 to the 49ers. I don't know if there's any mock drafts that have that right now. They seem to all be going Mac Jones. So you might be the first domino to fall that switches all the mock drafts around. So you're supremely confident in this call.
Well, I'm supremely confident in the info that I got. The info that I've got from to cross-reference from both other NFL teams as well as agents, and those guys are usually pretty good indicators on this, is that Fields did it, that he did enough, that he really changed the draft dynamic, and is going in. So it's not a prediction, it's a report, and I really believe that he did enough to kind of get it in. Like I said, having watched Justin play for the last 2 years, I think the 49ers are getting a magnificent young man, a terrific athlete. You're certainly talking about an A-plus athlete. If you're looking for the prototypical type of quarterback in the NFL right now, you want a guy who can stand in the pocket and deliver the ball, and then you want a guy that can run. And he's a terrific pocket passer who can also bust out a 4.40. So you've got all the attributes. He's intelligent, and I think there's some questions about how quickly he processes the game, but I think he'll pick that up. I think that's one of his areas for improvement in the NFL. But I think the 49ers are going to get a really, really good one, and I really think that his name's going to be called third when the NFL draft rolls around. I think it's going to be Fields for the 49ers.
Yeah, I think with what his dad did with John Elway, what he and his dad did with RG3, Justin Fields, like when that system that they run has been the most prolific, they've had a quarterback who can throw it, but he also has got the legs to run it. John Elway is a fantastic athlete, and it just seems like he's trying to find his John Elway, and Mac Jones doesn't fit that profile at all. So that'd be a stunning move. And if you're betting on horses, man, you just take the most talented horse. And Justin Fields is clearly, in my opinion, the most talented quarterback in the entire draft. But it's one of those things where Spider-Man is in the building. What are you doing there, boy? I love you too, buddy. Well, I'm going to finish this up. So Justin Fields to the Niners, man. Spider-Man called it. Nevadabuck called it. We got good info on this. So, we'll see if it comes to fruition in the height of silly season. So you good with that?
I'm good with that. I'm riding with that. And I really think it's going to happen. And when it does happen, remember when you heard it.
All right. I love it, my man. Cool. All right. See you, brother.